Northern California in Sonoma County, Sonoma Raceway, and this is the Supersport Superstock 600 presented by Riders Law Race. Coming at you, round number 7 here. As it was mentioned earlier on, we only have 8 actual races, 4 rounds left of racing. And that means 25 points per race, so a couple hundred points remaining in this championship. So now is the time when riders have their heads down and thinking about it. But so far, we started this Friday morning, couple practices, and we've also had some qualifying. And Jason, these are tense times right now, aren't they?
Very, very tense times, and you get a good look at the grids here in the Dunlop starting grid. Got Garrett Gerloff on pole that we've talked about, but look at that, guys. Full second over, pretty much over JD Beach and Valentin DeBees. It's great to see DeBees so close to JD, and we know JD is going to bring the fight to Garrett. And then row 2, we got Benny Solis, Alex Phillips, who I'm really proud of on the MV Augusta. He really improved his lap time on that last couple of laps there today, and we had Daytona Anderson rounding out row 2. Then we got Braden Ort, his first pole position in Superstock. Jason Uribe back from Spain, Jason Aguilar, our points leader. Then we got Andrew Lee, Dion Campbell. We got a couple stories about him. Michael Gilbert rounding out row 4. So our Superstock grid, we've got row 3 and 4, basically Superstock guys. Row 5, Ashton Yates is really coming to grips with the 600. Nick McFadden, Shane Richardson, and then on row 6, Andy DeBrino, Ezra Bobia, and Jody Berry, who we saw pull in the pits, Greg. I don't think he's going to make the grid. His bike sounded a little bit off in one of our audio pieces just now during commercial. So I'm not sure if Jody's going to make the grid, but we're going to have a look at that. Roll all the way back to row 7. We got Brandon Clayland, Brandon Crawford, local guy up here, who I've been watching come out of the second or first one of our practices. JC Camacho, Xavier Zayat, Connor Blevins struggling this weekend a little bit, and Jared Nassasny. I'm wondering if I do see him out there. He had a crash this morning in his qualifying session in turn 10, so I'm glad to see him out there.
Also on the grid is Caroline Olson, Nolan Lampkin, Gage Reese, Mark Rhodes in row 10, Josh Picard, and on back through the field, we have 37 riders, 13 rows qualified for this race today. And this is what Sonoma Raceway can do. It can really pack people up and get some nice close lap times.
So there's a couple things that you really have to think about. First off, I think with JD Beach, we got to think he's got to have a race strategy, and that race strategy is going to be probably pretty frantic at the beginning of this. He's got to get a good start. And I think the second thing, Greg, is back markers.
Now, Jason, before you get too deep into that, let's take a look at your Kawasaki keys to the race. What are you looking at? What are you seeing?
Well, first off, Gerloff, we can't express it enough how fast he's gone this weekend. And really, Laguna Seca, the lap time he did there to set pole, he's the guy right now. He can really take charge of this championship after this weekend if he can put 2 good solid rides in. And so it's going to be up to him to just mentally handle that task of doing so. Superstock battle, we got a big battle. Not only do we have a big battle between Jason Aguilar, Connor Blevins, Michael Gilbert, and some of the rest, but there's going to be some new faces in here this weekend that we've got to look at coming in here to Sonoma. One of the things that this track is very well known for is some of the local talent. The local talented guys that we're starting to see. Braden Ort qualifying on pole to start with. The Superstock's great. Andrew Lee and Dion Campbell. Andrew's been racing the entire season, has had some bad luck, but Dion Campbell, an even bigger story. This guy's coming back from a big car accident in March, raced with us last year, hadn't been on a bike since October before Laguna. We'll get into that a little bit more, but he did an incredible job qualifying his bike in 4th today. So the Superstock battles are going to be great. Ashton Yates is right there. Nick McFadden, Shane Richardson's right there, who had an off this morning in qualifying. There's a lot of things that are going to play out here in this race.
So many amazing stories. Looking at number 1 play, the Garrett Gerloff right there. Supersport class. We race both Superstock 600 presented by Riders Law and Supersport. White backing with blue numbers. And then in the Superstock 600 class, you're going to see the red number plates with yellow. That's how you define the different classes. Right there is a Honda CBR 600 RR. H35 rider Benny Solis. So good look at the front row.
One of the things, Greg, about this place, these guys have not gone up through turn 1 the way they're going to do right now. You'll see after they come around for the first lap, they run a different turn 1. So from this starting spot, nobody has done, other than their warm-up lap, what they're about to do right now, going up into turn 1. So it can get a little bit sketch. They're going to get all the way up to 3rd gear very quickly here, and you'll see all the riders getting packed in pretty quickly as they head up the hill.
So here we go. It's time to get racing here from Sonoma Raceway. It's race number 1 of the Supersport class, and a little bit of a bobble from JD Beach, and Garrett Gerloff looks like he's off to a flyer. Oh, it's getting pretty tight up there as we sweep through turn number 1. Now up to the top of the hill. Gerloff has his way. Look at the Honda of Benny Solis.
He gets a great start there, Greg, from the 2nd row, and he's been wanting to get up there with these guys all year long. And now he's right on the back of Garrett as they head down the hill. This is all blind coming down this hill, 3A down to turn 4. And Garrett's got the absolute dream start. What he's got to do now is put his head down, put these first 2 or 3 laps in to see if his board gives him any kind of indication if he's pulling away or not. You can see Valentin Debise, look how tight Garrett runs off into the carousel. That's where we did our piece. And you're going to come up over the top of the hill, run it very tight in there. But right now, JD's got to try to do something with Benny as they head up towards turn 7. He's got a great drive. He knows he's got to get by Benny early if he has any chance of hoping to get on the back of Garrett. He slides underneath him.
There he goes, the 95 now moves up into 2nd spot. Benny Solis now relegated to 3rd. But now it's all up to JD Beach because Garrett Gerloff, like Jason says, he's going to have his way. He loves the corner speed. He loves to be able to control the pace in and mid-corner. And JD Beach has got to get up there and try to close this gap, or else Garrett Gerloff has the potential to check out of this race.
Yep, you see Alex Phillips there doing a great job on that MV Agusta, our lone MV Agusta in the field, I believe. He's running in 5th place right now. He's put a little bit of gap on the guys behind him, so he's doing a fantastic job. But right now, it's the battle at the front between these 4. JD has got to find something to close this gap back up, and we've seen JD do this before this year, where we've kind of written him off a little bit at the beginning, thinking he can't catch Garrett. But JD is such a consummate professional, and Valentin goes underneath Benny. That's such a big pass to do that in turn 1. Nobody knows how hard that is.
M4 X-Star Suzuki's Valentin Debise, the Frenchman, who has been here, actually went to JD Beach's house in Kentucky and got to ride some bicycles and dirt track with him. So not spending the full 5 weeks back home in France, he came back to the States early, and his M4 X-Star Suzuki team working really hard in a test to work on the front end of that motorcycle, as Valentin Debise has had some crashes in the first part of this season. But it's all on JD Beach right now as we look at this championship. Only 4 points separate these 2 riders, and JD seems to be riding really hard right now.
It's honestly what I love most about JD. He's just got such heart, man. He's just such a racer come Sunday. He hasn't really been close to Garrett all weekend long, and right now he's just sinking his teeth into it right now, doing his best to claw that gap back up. He's not just going to give this to Garrett, and you can see he's closed the gap down. He was 0.7 behind at the start, after the first lap, and he's closed that gap down, Greg, and he's left the other 2 guys behind, and but he's doing whatever he can to just get it close enough. And I bet you JD will do the fastest lap of his weekend in this race.
Number 1, Garrett Gerloff, JD Beach, their teammates. He's the 95 on the Monster Energy Yamalu YES Graves Yamaha. Right behind them in 4th spot, Valentin Debise on the M4 X-Star Suzuki. Chris Ulrich, the owner of this team, telling me that they've actually found a little bit more in the motor in the 5 weeks that they've been off. How they can continue to find horsepower out of this aging GSXR 600 is absolutely incredible compared to the brand new electronically controlled Yamaha R6. Gerloff up and in the dirt, no problem.
How about 37.5 for JD? I just said he's probably going to go quicker. I believe he qualified, Greg, at a 38.1, and he just went 35.7 on that lap. And again, but see, this is what's happening. Look, oh, Garrett gets a little bit of a wiggle between that left and right. Garrett's going to start putting his head down. He's dropped right into the 37s. Valentin Debise also 37.8, 38.3 for Benny Solis, which is his quickest lap of the weekend also. So this is what happens. Garrett has pushed the pace up front. These other 3 guys are doing their best to try to go with him. It's got to be a big boost to Valentin's confidence right now, not seeing these Yamaha guys just completely disappear out of vision.
Valentin Debise this morning, when I had a talk with him, we talked about his trip here and how the sleep, like a good night's sleep, allowed him to refocus on this racetrack. He said, not only did I sleep, but I went home and watched every video I could find on old races from this racetrack. And he discovered from those videos, watching other racers, a couple areas here at Sonoma Raceway where he could improve. And obviously it's paying off right now.
Well, one of the things that these Yamahas are doing, even down that little short S section, is they're jumping that first curbing. That curbing is a lot bigger than you think it is, but their bikes are set up so well and they go over it so easy. I have no doubt that Debise has probably tried that himself over the course of the weekend, and maybe the Suzuki doesn't quite go over that as well. But what it allows those guys to do is to, oh, Valentin gets bucked up out of the seat out of turn 10. So he's pushing, as we know he does. He's pushing very hard to try to get up there with these guys.
Looking at Garrett Gerloff, especially that last corner, just looks like the way his motorcycle turns for him right now is so much better, as he just goes 37.150. That eclipses his qualifying time by about 1/10 of a second, just a little less than 1/10 of a second. So Gerloff right now knew that JD Beach was coming, and he has put the hammer down.
That's exactly right. He goes 37.4 to 37.7, and this is what Garrett's going to be able to do to wear these guys out a little bit, because he has just consistently all weekend been fastest. It's not like he's just throwing in one lap specifically. He's throwing a bunch of laps in. So that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's just kind of wearing these guys out. And it's very, very frustrating for them when they can't catch back up. But DeBees is going, and Benny Solis, this is the closest Benny's been with these guys also. He's done every single thing he can to squeeze as much out of that Honda CBR 600. And he's had a bunch of podiums this year, but this is by far his best run so far of the year in my eyes, just because he's kept these guys in sight. Now we're going to go back, Greg, to the battle for fifth, and it is a big battle. We got Alex Phillips, Jason Uribe, Braden Orr leading the Superstock category. You can see Uribe is just in front of that gigantic battle. But here's our first look at Alex Phillips. His father, Rob Phillips, very famous racer, did World Superbike, very famous Australian racer, and good to see Alex over here participating in our series on an off-brand as well. But look at this battle behind. You got Jason Uribe there, and then you got a ton of hungry Superstock guys. You look at Ort, you look at Aguilar, who's in a little bit deep. There's Andrew Lee right behind him, and I believe Ashton Yates is there. You got Dion Campbell there. So Shane Richardson's right in the back of that group. What a huge battle for Superstock.
And the difference too, of course, is we have Supersport, and those are the two bikes up front with those white number plates and blue numbers, and then the rest of that field are all the Superstock 600. So that's the battle right now for Superstock 600. They have their own podium, and that's what's going on. It's the 555 Brandon Ort out of Canada on the Toon Racing machine right now leading the way, and it is so tight there. And there's a good look at a rider who won a couple races early on, Nick McFadden, the 16, has McFadden on that M4 Med-Age Suzuki out of Owensboro, Kentucky. Still trying to claw his way back up front after an early season injury.
Now you can see Andrew Lee had a little peak.
He's the 100.
Jason Aguilar, he's on the 100 bike. And Andrew's obviously, he's very familiar. He's just going to have a look as they go into the carousel. He's not quite close enough.
Bumpy there now.
It's really bumpy on the entry there. And we watched Garrett Gerloff go in there earlier. He's very tight, just like Andrew is. Now they're going to come out of turn 7. There's a great look at Ashton Yates and Dion Campbell, who we spoke about earlier. This is Dion's second race since last October after coming back from that car accident. He was a passenger in a car that was struck at about 95 miles an hour. He was stretching his knee from a knee injury he had when he was hit and did some damage to his back and neck area. And so he has just been on the road to recovery and not getting any riding. So this is an incredible job by him just staying in this group.
Great battle here. This is the battle for fifth spot that you're looking at. Up front, Garrett Gerloff leads JD Beach by 1 second and another half a second back to Valentin DeBee. So that order has not changed at the top right now. Benny Solis still in 4th spot. So the battle for fifth, 248. Alex Phillips. Trying to go up the inside. That is a tight line. Can he hold on to it? It's a drag race right now. But it looks like Ort's going to get it, at least for the moment.
And we heard Aguilar say that he felt like he was lucky at Miller, that he was lucky at Laguna. Jason, I hate to tell you, you've won 3 races. It's not all up, my friend, and you are right there again, battling for this lead. He's our only championship contender. It looked like he was having a look as they went up into turn 2. He was having a look at Ort, and it looked like he maybe made the pass, but then Ort was able to do something with him on the exit, and it's allowed Andrew Lee to go through up into 2nd place. Andrew has been running really consistent low 41s, high 40s all weekend long. So we'll see if he is able to continue his move forward. Jason Aguilar looked like he took a shot. Here comes Ashton Yates. He's going to have a go at Aguilar as they go into the carousel.
Wow, this is a big move if Ashton can pull it off.
And that's that line I was talking about. You know, if you open up the carousel at all, it will invite people to try to go up underneath you. And we saw Andrew, and here comes Andrew now. He's got a bit of a run on Braden as they head down into turn 7. But it's a big commitment. It's very tight down in here now, a lot more tighter than it used to be. But all the while, Alex Phillips been running 5th right now on this MV Augusta, doing a great job.
So this is not only battle for position, but of course battle in the Superstock 600 presented by Riders Law Battle. And a rider sitting up there letting someone go by. So still going into the chicane on the backside of this course. It's possible to pass in there, Jason. The problem is when you get into that chicane, can you make the pass and make it stick?
Braden Ort just got shot up out of the seat. That's going to allow Andrew to up. Andrew's not quite close enough. The thing is these Superstock riders are all in a battle with themselves. They've got 2 Supersport guys right in front of them that they're dying to try to get past. And I mean, we have got 7 Superstock riders all glued together. Nick McFadden and Michael Gilbert are on the back of that. These are two title hopefuls as well. Aguilar has really taken it to those guys. Here we go. We're going to look back at the front here. Garrett Gerloff has not been able to really pull the pin that much. The lead is 1.4 seconds, and J.D. Beach has hung in there just like we know he can. And you can see Valentin DeBees is still holding right on the back of him, Greg.
So it is Garrett Gerloff, 1.4 seconds. So the last couple of laps, Gerloff's been able to get another couple tenths out of J.D. Beach, but no big chunks of time. And then Valentin DeBees on that M4 X-Star Suzuki, rejuvenated after 5 weeks away from the racetrack, giving his team some time to breathe and really analyze what's been going on with the front end of that motorcycle. But it's Garrett Gerloff, and Jason, you mentioned it at the top of the show. Dunlop decided that they were going to come out with a 180 size tire. It was a 200 size tire, different sidewall. As we take a look at a replay of Garrett Gerloff, and you can see that the profile of that tire allows Garrett to just turn that motorcycle any way he wants to.
Yeah, so much confidence right now, and you go out there and you watch him in the sessions, and his bike sounds a little different. You can see they're going to wheelie up over that little bit of curbing that they have there, and the bike just looks so good. He looks so comfortable riding it, and he's just able to pound out the laps. He's opened it up to 1.6. He was 2 tenths quicker this last lap, and JD has brought Valentin DeBees along with him. This is going to be a big boost in DeBees' confidence, I feel. The fact that he's able to just kind of see these guys still in front of him, and they haven't completely got away.
And if Valentin DeBees continued this pace and can stay this close to J.D. Beach, JD's got to think about the last couple laps, because if there's one rider on this racetrack who's not afraid to throw you a shot at any time during the race, especially on the last lap, it's Valentin DeBees.
That's exactly right, too. I think that you hit it on the head there.
And he smiles when you ask him about it, Jay.
Yep.
He's like, I'm here to race.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I'm here to race. I'm here to win. I'm here to get a good result for his team, and that's what he's trying to do for the M4 X-Star Suzuki. As Phyllis a little wide coming out of that corner.
And he's up front. I'm sure he's looking at his board saying +0, but he doesn't realize he's got like 8 guys directly behind him. But he's been running his own, doing his own thing. These guys haven't really got close to Alex running there in 5th. And you can see DeHunt Campbell back there with Shane Richardson. I mean, this is an incredible race in Superstock.
Anything can happen in this one.
Aguilar's taking the lead now of that group.
Aguilar on the 96. That's a Rider's Law Aguilar racing machine. You can tell by his riding style. He really likes to dip that shoulder and head down nice and low. He's the first rider with the red backing number plate, the number 96 in yellow. So it's now Aguilar leading the way in the Superstock 600 class, as he sits 7th overall at the moment. And you know, this way Alex Phillips is riding on the 248, Jason Uribe is able to kind of close back up and then get a little bit further away. But it's that battle.
Well, Alex is going to be in for a big shock when he starts seeing that. You see Jason Aguilar and Braden close getting in there, but Alex just doesn't want to look back. Just keep his head down, do what he's doing. He's running a fantastic race at the front. Aguilar, I think, if he can get by Uribe, he's going to, this is a huge race for him in the championship, because all of his title contenders are so far back right now. Michael Gilbert's back running 14th. You got, I'm looking for Nick. Nick's 13th. So Nick McFadden and Michael are so far back right now that this is a huge race for Jason.
You got to look at Dion Campbell. He's in 9th spot. He's the 194. He's back there in the mix. He just had his personal fastest lap, and doing it in this group, a 140.559 compared to the 41 of Jason Uribe and 41 of Alex Phillips. So Dion Campbell, the 194, is someone to look at. All right, battle for second as J.D. Beach and Valentin DeBees getting really close at it. So DeBees, just before we cut that camera, was really close. So a small miscue by Valentin DeBees. And now it's still Garrett Gerloff. He's eked it out now to 2 seconds. J.D. Beach.
Greg, we're in lap 9 of 19 right now, and these guys are going to be coming into such a big group of traffic, and that's really what JD is hoping to see. Garrett has already got by Nassasny as they come down the front straight. I believe that is, unless it's JC, it looks like there's maybe had a little bit of a problem going into turn 1. I
think that was JC. JC Camacho was in and out of the pits.
Yes, okay, great. Thank you very much. And so he pulled over and got out of the way. Good on him for doing that. JC's a front runner in our Superstock class, so he's had some problems today. But if JD could be close enough, there is a big group of guys that Garrett Gerloff's going to have to go past here pretty soon.
And make no mistake, I mean, there are signals that allow back markers that, hey, the leaders are coming, get out of the way. But the way this racetrack is designed, some places in this track are basically one line. So, you know, you just might be, as a back marker, just get caught up in the wrong spot. And we've seen it with Garrett Gerloff. He's not as aggressive in the back markers as, say, JD Beach or someone like this rider right here, Valentin DeBees, on that M4 X-Star Suzuki, who has tons of world endurance experience. And that experience allows you to really, you know, practice getting by lap traffic. So here we go. 520 getting out of the way. That's John Knowles out of Modesto, California, on the Riders Law Racing Yamaha R6. So the 520 doing a good job holding his lines currently.
Yep, absolutely. Those guys, it's a tough job out there when you start seeing blue flags, especially when you're racing against other people. And right now, I'm watching this battle for first, or battle for second. And up in front, you can see we can't really see Garrett in shot. He's just been able to get through these back markers a little better as they come up on Mark Rhodes right now as they come into turn 11. You can see they've dropped Benny Solis a little bit. Benny's back there running a lone fourth, but you can see just in our shot here as we pan onto the front straightaway, you can see all the different back markers. These guys are weaving and dodging their way through. And,
oh man, that was close.
Yeah,
because if you're getting over that curb with the front wheel and you're still got some lean angle, you're going down in a heartbeat.
That's exactly right, Greg, and it's very, very close and tight all through that little section.
So Garrett Gerloff having his way from the beginning of this race. He got a good launch, got a good start, and he was able to set his pace, take his corners the way he wants to. As we've seen so far this season, it's JD Beach can get in front of Garrett Gerloff and disrupt his flow, disrupt his rhythm. JD can have his way, but JD got off to a third place start, as it was Benny Solis early on who got himself into second. Back to this Supersport, Superstock 600 battle. Alex Phillips, the 248 in 5th overall, still leads this train of riders.
Braden Nord has got himself back into the lead in Superstock. We saw Aguilar had that lead earlier, so he's fought back now, and I just really feel like whoever one of these Superstock guys can get past either of these Superstock bikes, they're going to have a big advantage. You can see Shane Richardson's now moved himself up into 4th. Dion Campbell has moved himself into 3rd. So Dion's on the move. He's coming forward, and he wants a shot at trying to lead this race. But really, it's going to be who can get by Uribe or Phyllis and move past these Supersport bikes if these Superstock riders can do it at all.
That's the strategy right now, isn't it, Jason? If you can just put yourself between those two riders, it's almost like you're giving yourself a safety buffer. But Jason Uribe, back there in that second spot, is just looking ahead. He's trying to find a way around Phyllis. And again, some parts of this track, he gets really close, but then that MV Augusta starts to squirt away as Phyllis. And you know what? As they come up on lap traffic, this is the group that could really start mixing itself up.
Man, they're just all fanning out there. They're fanning out.
Oh!
Uribe. Look at Dion Campbell has made the pass on Aguilar now. You cannot breathe in this group without something happening, and there's just so much happening.
Oh! Shane Richardson up and out of the saddle, the 26 rider, trying to put the power to the ground. And look at these guys all over the place, and he's going to lose a spot. Do they touch? No. Richardson on the Kawasaki, able to hold on. An international affair. Richardson from New Zealand. We got a Canadian in the mix, a bunch of Americans. It's getting crazy here in Supersport, Superstock 600.
Dion has got himself right in behind Ort now. Now think about how many laps Dion Campbell's got, and he's not even that healthy. The poor kid literally told me he's 75% healthy right now. And to try to go do 19 laps around here and do it at the front, but I think if he can get through, if he can somehow figure out a way to get by Ort. But Ort's riding a tremendous race. Braden last year rode some World Supersport. That's where he has been. He got hooked up with Toon Racing this year.
Yep.
A lot of experience. Those guys won the championship last year. But look, at the back end of this group, Nick McFadden is still sitting right on the tail end of this, trying to get whatever points he could. There goes Andrew Lee trying to go underneath Richardson.
That is a crazy pass. With all the bumps in the carousel going up underneath, you've got to have a nice, tight, fast line. He does it. He gets away with it as Uribe, the 36, trying to take that inside line. Now it looks like Uribe might be in a bit of protective mode, and that might affect his speed coming down the line here as the laps start to tick away. You're looking at the battle on the track for 5th spot. Alex Phillips, 248. Jason Uribe. Brandon Ort in the mix.
Yeah, they're all
55, Michael Gilbert, you just saw.
Braden's bike is just shaking all over the place.
Whoa.
He's trying to go underneath. Alex Phillips has just been zapped by 2 guys. And he's probably thinking, wait, what's going on right now? Now you can see Dion Campbell trying to go around the outside of him. He's probably going to cut it back underneath him as they come down into turn 11. Let's see if that blue bike cuts down. He does. And Aguilar's going even tighter.
Tighter goes Aguilar. Oh, and he's got to check up.
Oh, my gosh. And Alex Phillips has gone from 5th place overall, back to what looks like 9th or 10th. These Superstock guys are a bit ruthless right now, just trying to get their way through.
This is absolutely insane. Look at the replay. We could replay this race all day long, Jason.
This is down into turn 9. Now, keep an eye out. You'll see Dion Campbell back there on the blue bike. He's going to try to go around Alex. Alex just kind of moves, holds his line, does his thing. Now, as they head down into turn 11, you'll see that 194 is inside Alex. 96 Aguilar goes inside both of them. Shane Richardson sideways behind him on the Kawasaki with Andrew Lee. Wow, this is a mess right now, but great racing.
Up front, Garrett Gerloff still leads the way by 4 seconds over JD Beach. JD's got another 1.7 over Valentin DeBees, and then they have 18 over Benny Solis. So up front, the top 4, it remains the same. That's why all our eyes are focused on this battle right now for 5th on the racetrack, but also for the win in the Superstock 600 class presented by Riders Law.
And Braden Ord is able to get by Uribe, and that's really big for him now. Uribe runs a little bit wide. Dion Campbell is going to get the hurry up, and see Shane Richardson now has put himself into 3rd. Then you got Aguilar, and then you got Andrew Lee. This is anybody's race, but right now Braden Ort's got that clear track in front of him, and he needs to make hay while the sun is shining right now.
Braden Ort's best finish so far this season. He scored 11 points in 5th, so that's been his best. He sits well placed in the points. He's 7th, but of the top 8 riders, he's the only rider in the top 8 that hasn't had a podium so far this season.
And this guy up front, Greg, 3.8 second lead, still running a low 39 that last lap, and that's going to be in traffic. Even though JD went a little bit quicker that last lap, he's got a 3.8 second lead, has made it look very, very easy. He's been able to get out front, run his own race. He's been able to get through this traffic as he comes up on Nolan Lampkin, who's running a lonely race by himself right now himself. And there you go. There's JD, and himself has broke out to a big lead, over 2.1 second lead over DeBees also. So yeah, as you can tell, Garrett's had it his own way. Now JD's got a little bit of clear track, but Garrett has got nothing but clear track in front of him now. And as he heads down that back straightaway, this is where DeBees is, and DeBees has got a big gap over Benny Solis now of some, I'm looking back now, Greg, 20 seconds over Benny. So Benny's either had some problems or whatever there. So
all right, so the
3 guys are pretty well set, it looks like.
Monster Energy, Yamaha, YES Graves, Yamaha's leading the way as the M4 X-Star Suzuki trying to hold on to that podium spot. Now we're back to this battle for 5th as Braden Ord, as I mentioned, in the points, 7th in the points, the only rider in the top 8 without a podium finish in his class. Superstock 600 poised right now to go from a best finish of 5th on the season to a win. Let me tell you something, that's what happens sometimes. This rider, number 555, with his leg out going after. Now things have started to spread out a little bit, I guess you could say. I mean, compared to what we were watching earlier, it looked like the 405 at 5 o'clock down in SoCal. Oh, as Uribe with a huge mistake, he's got to run it through the pits. So he nearly collides with Ord. So Uribe, all of a sudden, just like that, is out of contention.
And Uribe has got to be thinking to himself, look at this mess that was behind me right now. But now these Superstock guys can really get at each other. Shane Richardson 3rd, Jason Aguilar 4th. But they're all so close together. We still have a lot of time left. Here comes Uribe, and he almost gets in the back of Ort as Ort broke. Uribe just did such a good job. That's great bike handling skills right there.
It really is.
By Jason Uribe to miss him.
Gets it stopped.
Yep, gets a start.
Doesn't have to go all the way through the pits. He's able to cut it. That's the way that this whole area is designed back there in the final corner of this Sonoma Raceway. So this battle continues.
They're still in track. They're getting through Mark Rhodes again right now.
Not sure Mark knew he was coming there.
I don't think he did. And right now he's going to be ate up by about 6 or 7 more other guys that are going to be coming.
Mark Rhodes on the 773 out of Addison, Illinois, on that Rhodes Racing Farrell Performance machine, getting out of the way as this battle continues now. Starting to sort itself out here with 4 laps to go. There's a good look at the 100. That's Andrew Lee. When we talked about Lee earlier on, he's having a good weekend. He was right up front yesterday. A lot of people thought Lee would be in contention for a win.
One of the guys that we haven't talked about a lot, we talked about him a little bit ago coming forward with Nick McFadden, is now Michael Gilbert has seen himself all the way up to 5th. You can see him back there in the white helmet. We haven't talked about him at all. But and Dion Campbell makes a big mistake. That's going to give a spot to somebody. Dion might be able to just... Nope, he gave a spot to Aguilar and Shane Richardson, both. But Michael Gilbert has kind of just plodded his way along with 4 to go. He's not far off the podium. That's a big break for Jason Aguilar there. You're going to see. And it's the same exact thing. These guys are, Braden's sitting up doing exactly what he needs to do. Get his bike slowed down for turn 11. These other guys are making mistakes. Braden's doing a great job. Look at, he's right tight to the apex. You got to get your bike slowed down for turn 11 and get a good drive out. And it's funny, Greg, the most mistakes we see are in slow corners. And here we go back. Garrett Gerloff going through the S's, now sitting on a 5.2 second lead over his nearest rival, which is JD. And he's still, like that last lap, Greg, he must not have had any traffic. He went 38.5.
Still the fastest rider on the racetrack, not slowing that pace down. Gerloff looks so comfortable on his Yamaha R6. Trying to go after that #1 plate. And what does the future hold for this rider, Garrett Gerloff? That's been a talking point throughout the entire weekend. But what's going to happen to the Supersport riders? Of course, they're directly linked with the factory Yamaha team, the Superbikes. So Garrett Gerloff and JD Beach both riding for their future. Here's a look at some lap traffic as we still await the arrival of Benny Solis.
Yep, Benny's back just a little bit right now, Greg, and you know, we're getting a look at 188 here, and Benny's just back just a little bit further from there he goes.
There he is.
Start finish line, doing a great job, just putting in the laps on that Honda CBR 600 and just being consistent week in and week out. Him and his dad, like I've talked about, work really hard on the Callum Ventures CBR 600. Here we go.
Superstock paddle has closed up yet again.
Yep, and Aguilar's going to have a shot. One thing I like about Jason is he's not just content. You can see him moving all around as he comes up into turn 2. It's a big pass.
That's a huge move. I mean, that is just like a hold your breath and see how this thing pans out. But he's got position right now at the bottom of this hill. Oh, he couldn't turn it. Oh, look how close this racing is getting.
And that's going to make Aguilar run. Why is Dion Campbell going to have a shot? No. But now, this is where it's going to start getting racy. You got 6 guys. You can see Andrew Lee just off the back of them in 6th place. But the top 5, this is all a battle for podiums as Dion Campbell now has a look underneath Aguilar.
Oh, Campbell.
He's still going to make it, Greg. He's still going to try to make it.
Aguilar's trying to go around the outside of Richardson.
It's our place to do it.
Going to leave the door wide open, but a good drive. And so this, the 96, is going to hold on to 3rd position in this Superstock battle, at least for the moment. Anything can, Jason, this is literally just a millimeter away from tragedy at this point.
Yep, we haven't seen Shane Richardson win a race this year. And this is his time. This is, oh, Aguilar all out of shape coming up over. Hope he's got some brakes when he gets down to the bottom. Dion Campbell's in deep and late. He's going to give Michael Gilbert 4th, maybe. Nope. Dion Campbell got into there really, really sideways and late. And look at the gap that is created now. So here we go. Shane Richardson's got a chance, as does, look at Aguilar. He's trying to go to the inside.
Aguilar is getting aggro right now. He is trying everything to get back up front and lead this battle as the 55 Braden Ort continues to lead the way. Shane Richardson now in 2nd spot, Aguilar in 3rd. This is the battle for Superstock 600 and the battle for 5th overall with 2 to go.
Aguilar does the same move again. He is so good up into turn 2, and you saw Richardson got booted out of the seat. JD Beach, Valentina Bees. This is back at the Supersport battle for 2nd and 3rd.
JD definitely had a problem, JP. A 40.0
yeah.
last time by to Valentin's 38.9.
Yep.
All kinds of great battles going on the racetrack. This is for the overall podium in Supersport as JD Beach and Valentin DeBees. Now it's starting to heat up here with about a lap and a half to go up front. It is JD on that Monster Energy Yamalu YES Graves Yamaha M4X Star Suzuki right behind him, as only 4 points when we started this race on this final lap separate in the championship the 2 teammates. This would be a 5-point swing for Garrett Gerloff if he can pull this off to the start finish line. And could Valentin DeBees wedge out another 4 points So it could be 9 at the end of this one if it ends this way, or if Valentin has a go at JD Beach, it could be as much as 14.
He's got to do everything he can right now, Greg, to just get that second place and give up as little few points as he can. And on this last lap, Valentin is just getting closer and closer and closer. But this is the buildup that we talked about. They're coming up over turn 5 into 6. We did our piece at the beginning. Valentin's got to clean this part as much as he can. You can see he's a little bit tighter than JD. JD's going to get a little bit better drive because he's going to be able to get it up on the edge off the edge of the tire a little sooner. And DeBees is going to have to do something with him as they come down into turn 9, or it's going to be a last lap gasp into turn 11. But right now, he's close enough.
JD in a little tight line there, already getting defensive here on this final lap. Valentin DeBees, he's had a couple of incidents, a couple DNFs this year. Is he going to take the conservative route and just stay on the podium for his team, or is he going to throw a shot at JD? We're coming down to it here. There's only a couple places to make a move. Valentin DeBees not close enough.
And this is going to be really his last shot. He's got to get a good drive out of here, Greg. And he's just not close enough. JD's probably going to protect a little bit as they come down into here.
As we go to the checkered flag for Garrett Gerloff, wheel in the air, and Gerloff will take race win number 4 on the season here at Sonoma Raceway in our return to Northern California. Second place goes to JD Beach, and Valentin DeBees will take 3rd. So good race action, as we know that Superstock 600 battle still going on the racetrack in 4th spot. Here comes the 35 machine. It is Benny Solis. And he's going to take this CBR 600R to another 4th place finish this season. So a good ride, solid ride for him, a good start. But Benny Solis coming back around to take his checkered flag. Good job by the Honda rider to wrap it up in 4th place. Here comes that battle, and there's lap traffic in the way.
Oh my gosh, what a mess. And it looks like Braden Nort, great job by Braden Nort. He's going to get his first win of 2017. We got a new winner. Looks like Jason Aguilar 2nd. Shane Richardson's going to be 3rd, with Gilbert and Dion Campbell finishing top 5 in his return. It looked like Andrew Lee was there. We go, Ashton Yates, there's Alex Billis, Nick McFadden. And it's a really, you can see there was a couple other guys that went off into turn 1 also, Greg. The start-finish line is so late here. The guys usually start rolling off about start-finish line, but when you start coming across this line in a battle, you can run off into the dirt. There's our winner, Garrett Gerloff, dominant performance. What are these guys going to do tomorrow to try to catch and close that gap?
Somebody's got to go back to the drawing board. The entire field doesn't figure out what they can do to get Garrett Gerloff behind their tailpipe. So JD Beach is one of the riders that's going to be thinking about this one. A lot of data to download, but before we do all that, we're going to head to Victory Circle, and we're going to talk to Gerloff and find out how his race went for him. So don't go anywhere on beIN Sports. We'll be back to Sonoma Raceway.